Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're in the endgame now because the Suicide Squad finally releases both in theaters and on HBO Max tonight/tomorrow, at least in the US and I think Canada as well. It's already out in some places of the world, so of course no spoilers, although I guarantee some jerk is probably going to put spoilers down there, so who knows. Of course, be careful, watch out. But today we are continuing once again the Suicide Squad hype week with day 3. And if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes already, then you're definitely going to want to check them out, where we talk about not only how we almost got a Suicide Squad versus Black Adam movie, but also yesterday I did a video breaking down and explaining all of the characters that are appearing in this film, because there are so many new DC characters, so many obscure characters in this movie that I had to explain them. I had to do some research and explain these characters to you guys, because there are some weird, wacky characters here. So if any character pops up in this video that you were like, I have no idea who that is, that just sounds like a really weird person, then you're definitely going to want to check out that video or break down all their powers, their origins, what heroes they fight in the comics, the differences between the comics and the movie. You definitely want to check it out. Honestly, a pretty quality video in my opinion. It did get demonetized because I used actual footage, but I think it made a better video out of it. But anyways, guys, today we are continuing with actually the final day of the Suicide Squad hype week, because of course the movie comes out tomorrow, so my next video on this movie will be, my actual spoiler review and breakdown and all that good stuff, so stay tuned for that as well. But today we are predicting the deaths of this film, because again, there's a huge cast for this movie, and with that, of course, a lot of them are going to die. James Gunn has said, don't get too attached, and you really should not get attached to really any character in this movie. And that was one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest complaints with the first Suicide Squad film, was that, for a movie called Suicide Squad, you'd think more people would die, but they didn't. So they're going to change that in this movie, and that's why there's such a big cast of all these random, crazy, wacky DC villains, because a lot of them are going to get killed off very, very soon and very, very quickly. So today, we're going to be doing that. A lot of you have highly requested this video of me all the way back since DC Fandom last year, when I first broke down the first behind the scenes teaser of this. You were like, do some death predictions, and I'm like, alright, I will, but I'll probably wait till close to the movie, and it's kind of a last minute thing, even though I've been planning it for like a week, but here we are. So that's exactly what we're going to do, guys. Of course, you can play along in the comments below. Let me know, who do you think is going to die in the Suicide Squad? Of course, no spoilers, just theories and all that good stuff. And also, who's going to survive? I mean, we're always talking about who's going to die, but who's actually going to survive this movie? And also, one last thing before we get into this that I did want to point out is just this the Suicide Squad bingo that I think I found on Reddit by Augusto.serp. And I just thought this was really cool, so I think like this is something you could screenshot and print out or whatever, and like play along as you watch the movie, like mark it off like, all right, yeah, that person died, or you could use it for your predictions. I think that'd be really fun. Just again, another cool thing I just wanted to shout out and mention in this video. But without further ado, let's get into predicting some deaths. Captain Boomerang, oh boy, this character has a tragic story, because I have a feeling he's going to die. Jai Courtney, of course, is returning to the role from his appearance in the first Suicide Squad film. He's one of the few returning characters from that movie. And I have a feeling he's going to die, because, of course, we've seen, based off all the trailers, and we've all been theorizing and assuming that there's going to be 2 different Suicide Squad teams in the film. There's basically going to be an A team and a B team, which is Plan A and Plan B, because most likely with the A team, most of them are going to die, so then you need Plan B with the B team. And unfortunately, Captain Boomerang is one of those members of the A team, where of course you have the characters, the team, during those shots where they walk in front of the American flag and they're on the plane and they have that fight scene on the beach, where most likely pretty much all of them are going to die, including Captain Boomerang, which really sucks, because he was one of my favorite parts of the first movie, and he's, of course, like a staple of the Suicide Squad, so that'd really suck if he died. But again, all of the promotional material is pointing towards that, and I suppose, he is a pretty tricky guy, that he is the kind of guy that would, try to betray the team, so I would not be surprised if he, like, faked his death or something and came back later in the film. But at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and say that this character is going to be a death in the movie. Then TDK, gonna have to say the same thing, because this is just such a wacky, ridiculous character that, again, is also part of Team A, where, his powers are just so ridiculous. We literally got a full featurette clip of this character just detaching his arms and slapping people with them. So there's no way this character is not going to die. It is just so obvious. And again, you haven't seen him in any of the promotional material other than those first 3 scenes with Team A. Then when it comes to Solceria, who of course is being played by Alice Braga, is an interesting character because she's an original character for the movie, because she's not a DC Comics character. She is a completely original character, and we haven't really seen her in any of the trailers. I think we saw her maybe once or twice, so we really have no idea what to expect, even from the character in general in this movie. We don't know what kind of role she's going to be playing. We saw some shots of her having interactions with Rick Flag, and due to that, again, because there's not much known about this character, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out here that maybe she dies in this movie, because, she seems like she'll be an important character, but not really that important. So it'll probably be like she's probably trying to help out Rick Flag, and then probably she's going to die. That's at least what I'm thinking at this point in time. Ratcatcher 2. This is another interesting character that everybody has said is the heart of the film. And I have a feeling that one of the reasons for that is because, she is one of their survivors. Because we've seen in the trailers that she is part of the B team, aka Plan B, and she survives all the way to the fight with Starro, and I suppose that could be where she dies, but we do also see in the trailers that there's this relationship between Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport, where they say, like, I'm gonna get you out of here alive, and then she's like, no, I'm gonna get you out of here alive, and automatically when you see that, you gotta know one of them is gonna die, and I have a feeling Ratcatcher 2 is going to be the one to survive. Harley Quinn. This is probably the most obvious one. There's no way they are killing off this character. I say there's probably a 99% chance of survival for Harley Quinn, because she's just too popular of a character. There's just too much opportunity to use this character again. Yes, it is her 3rd appearance in the DCU, but there's still so much more you could do. Or more stuff with Batman, hopefully a future relationship with Poison Ivy, Gotham City Sirens, all that cool stuff. Margot Robbie's great in the role, and we want to see her continue, and I don't know why they wouldn't have her continue. It just wouldn't make sense to kill off this character in this movie. King Shark is kind of the same thing for me. I highly doubt he will die. They could totally pull a thing where it's like Groot, because he is very much the Groot of this movie, and of course Groot did die in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then he came back, as baby Groot and teenage Groot and all that stuff. So they could pull a similar thing like that, where you have the big funny animal guy that doesn't talk much and says few words die and make a heroic sacrifice, but at the same time, from what we've seen from this character, he's kind of an idiot, so I kind of doubt he's going to make a sacrifice or anything. And again, everybody's reactions to the trailers is loving King Shark, so why would you kill off this adorable shark guy? He's awesome. Plus, it's Sylvester Stallone, so I don't even know why you do that. Peacemaker. This is an interesting one. I'm going to get a bit controversial here, I think, because, of course, he is getting his own spin-off for HBO Max, his own Peacemaker HBO Max series, but that is a prequel. So as soon as a lot of people heard that that's a prequel, everyone, I think for the most part, assumed, alright, this guy's gonna die, because why would it be a prequel if he's gonna die? Well, I actually have a feeling that he is going to survive, because yes, Peacemaker is a prequel, but that's just the first season, and when you do a prequel for something like that, especially if it's a TV show, there's only so much you can do with it, because if he dies in this Suicide Squad movie, then Peacemaker could only go up until the time of Peacemaker's death. So I have a feeling it'll be something like maybe he survives the Suicide Squad, and then you get some sort of setup, maybe in a post-credit scene or something. Then we go back to his origins in Peacemaker Season 1, and of course they want that show to be a big success, so I don't know, say it gets renewed for multiple seasons, and then after that first season, you meet up, well, maybe the first season would end off where it leads to him joining the Suicide Squad, and then season 2 would take place after the Suicide Squad, and then you could go anywhere you want with that. Plus, James Gunn has said that John Cena's Peacemaker might show up in other DC projects in the future as well, and I doubt they're all going to be prequels, so I kind of have a feeling that this douchey Captain America is going to survive. Now for Idris Elba's Bloodsport. This ties back to, again, Ratcatcher 2, because, again, I said that there's going to be a connection between these two characters, and they've praised, a lot of the reviews have praised Daniela Melchior for a very emotional, heartfelt performance. And I feel like one of the reasons for that is because she is going to lose this friend and lose this bond with Bloodsport. I feel like this is going to be one of the big heroic sacrifices in the third act, where it's going to be like one of the big saddest deaths, because he's basically, I think, like the main character of this movie. He's the main character that we get to see and explore his relationship with his daughter and everything, how he joins the Suicide Squad. And another reason I think he'll die is just because of the comparisons to Deadshot. This is literally, when he was first cast for this movie, we thought he was replacing Will Smith as Deadshot. But no, he's Bloodsport. He's a different character, a very similar character though, even up to the point of having a daughter that he doesn't get along with and all that stuff, and he can't see. So I feel like one of the big things they're going to do to differentiate the characters is kill him off. Plus, again, everybody loves Will Smith as Deadshot, and the only reason he didn't come back for this movie is because of scheduling. So I have a feeling they're going to want to bring back that character for the third Suicide Squad movie. And if you have Bloodsport survive and have him in the third movie as well, I mean, the two characters are just so similar. It'd be weird to have both of them. So I feel like this guy kind of has to die so that we can get Deadshot back in the future. Flulaborg as Javelin. Oh boy. He dead. He is so dead. I mean, again, he's part of Team A. Not looking too good for them. And Javelin is just, again, another very wacky character. That blonde hair, the bright yellow and blue suit. There's no way this character does not die. Plus, we also have basically evidence, because we see Harley Quinn for the majority of this movie is going around wielding a javelin that is literally Javelin's javelin. So most likely he's going to die, and she's just going to steal his weapon for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, bye Javelin. Same for Mongal. Oh boy, Mongal. Literally, like I said, everybody on Team A is not making it out of this. We literally saw a shot in one of the trailers of Mongal holding on to like a helicopter or something that looked like it was about to crash. She was like screaming or something. That's most likely the moment that she's going to die, where she like crashes into something and blows up. But at the same time, she is an alien warlord, so maybe she's got tough skin. We'll kind of have to wait and see. But she's very dead. Amanda Waller. This is a character that they're just like Harley Quinn. There's no way she's going to die, because literally she's the whole reason for the Suicide Squad. If you kill off this character, then you couldn't really do any more Suicide Squad movies. It just wouldn't make sense unless somebody else took over, but I don't know why they would. She's kind of the brains of the operation. I don't even know how she would die, because she's literally just sitting in an office somewhere, nowhere near the danger that the Suicide Squad is facing. So she definitely, there's a lot of people that would like her dead, but they're all too scared to do it. So I highly doubt that Amanda Waller will bite the dust in this film. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. This is another character returning from the first Suicide Squad film, and I have a feeling this character is going to die, because a lot of this movie you see is there's going to be some chaos caused here, and he is basically Amanda Waller's guy in the field. Without him, there's nothing stopping the Suicide Squad. He's the guy there to make sure that everybody is staying in line and doing what they're supposed to be. But I have a feeling he's going to get killed off, whether that's heroically or he's murdered or something like that. I don't know which it'd be. But if he dies, then there's going to be chaos. And I honestly would love to see that go down in this film. And plus, when we look at the trailers, again, looking at the evidence here, looking at the final battle against Starro, you don't see him there. You actually don't see either him or Peacemaker. So maybe those two actually go off and do something else, while the Suicide Squad, the rest of the team, again, Team B, is fighting Starro. So I don't know. There's got to be some sort of explanation for him. And again, not many people really liked him in the first movie, but I have a feeling he's going to be a much better character in this film. But it's not looking too good for Rick Flag. Then when it comes to Peter Capaldi's The Thinker, this is another character that I think is going to bite the dust, because he's actually not even part of the Suicide Squad. He's, based off the trailers, he's not even a member of the team. It looks like he's actually somebody that the Suicide Squad is either going to rescue or retrieve or kidnap or something like that, because he has some huge connections to the villain of this movie, Starro the Conqueror, and also the Luna and the General and all those people working in Corto Maltese. So he has big connections to them. He's not even a member of the squad. He's basically one of the villains of this movie. So I have a feeling that this character is most likely going to die. die, and also because this is kind of an original character, because as I talked about yesterday in my breakdown of all the characters, the Thinker in the comics is Clifford DeVoe, and James Gunn has confirmed that this is a different version of the Thinker, where his name is Goss Greaves or something like that. So I think the fact that it's an original character means that he's not going to be sticking around, but that does leave the door open for the actual Thinker to show up later in the DCEU. Savant, Michael Rooker, of course a friend of James Gunn. He shows up in almost all James Gunn movies, most of the time actually to die, as we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with the death of Yondu, and I have a feeling the same exact thing is going to happen here, except a lot quicker, because he's another member of the A-Team, and yeah, he hasn't been shown much in the trailers, doesn't seem to have too big of a role, and doesn't have a very good survival rate for this movie. Same for Blackguard. I have a feeling this character is going to be a complete coward. We literally saw in one of the trailers where he was like completely freaked out and scared of Weasel and everything, and he's just that kind of character that also, again, we literally saw in another trailer. I think it was actually the first behind the scenes look that we got at DC Fandom, where he's literally surrendering on the beach. Like, he puts his hands up and he's like, I surrender, and I doubt they're just going to let him go. They're probably just going to shoot him up and boom, he's dead. That's most likely what is going to happen to Blackguard. And, you know, it's unfortunate because Pete Davidson's awesome, but also it's Blackguard. So, yeah, bye-bye Blackguard. Weasel, same thing for him. A lot of people have been loving him in the promotion for this movie, but not looking great for him. He is also a member of that first team of the film, and he's just like a really creepy, weird looking guy, or not even guy, just thing, Weasel, whatever you want to call him. So yeah, would not surprise me if he's actually maybe even the first to die, because we haven't even seen any footage of him even reaching the beach. We've seen him in the prison with the team in front of the American flag and also on the plane, but most likely he's probably not even going to make it to the beach. He might like fall out of the plane or like drown or something. Who knows? But Weasel is not lasting very long in this movie. Polkadot Man. Polkadot Man. This is going to be a big, surprising character for a lot of people in this movie that I'm really excited to see. I'm a huge fan of David Dastmalchian, and also actually a huge fan of Polkadot Man. I'm super excited to see this wacky character introduced in this movie, how they're going to explain his powers and everything. But unfortunately, I have a feeling he is going to die, but I have a feeling he's actually going to have more so like a heroic sacrifice, because we've seen he's part of that second team of the Suicide Squad, and he actually, again, as we've seen, makes it to that final battle with Starro, and we even have that scene in one of the trailers where he says, I'm a superhero, and I have a feeling that's probably going to be the moment right there where, again, he makes that heroic sacrifice to maybe even save the day. And he's gonna die, which, I mean, it could also go the other way, though, because we did see in another trailer where Bloodsport was like, oh, we're all gonna die, and then Polkadot Man was like, I hope so. So that'd honestly be kind of ironic if the one guy that actually wants to die is one of the ones that does not. But again, I'm going to stick to my gut here and say that most likely Polkadot Man is going to die, but I have a feeling he's going to be a very emotional character in this movie that I'm really excited to see his story go down, and most likely have a heroic sacrifice in the third act of this film. Then finally, just as a little bonus to throw in here, we have Starro. He's not part of the team. He's actually the villain of the movie, or at least one of the villains. And I'm just going to go ahead and say Starro is going to die just because, you know, he's the villain. They got to defeat him somehow. It'd be too easy for them to just like send him back into space, because most likely he'd come back later. But at the same time, love for that to happen. I'd love to see Starro come back in the future, fight the Justice League or something. That'd be awesome and hilarious. But again, I highly doubt that's going to happen. Most likely Starro will perish at the hands of the Suicide Squad. But guys, that is the full video, the full breakdown of all my death predictions for the Suicide Squad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What characters do you think will die, and what characters do you think will survive this film? And of course, like I said, guys, the Suicide Squad, it's almost here. It's releasing tonight on HBO Max and tomorrow in theaters and all that good stuff. I'm so excited to watch this movie. Again, my next video is going to be my spoiler review and breakdown for the movie. I'm so excited for it. But guys, anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the